Okay. Hello,
Hello.
and welcome to the first episode of the That Film Blog UK podcast. I'm Luke. I'm the owner of the website and the host, and I'm joined today by Oli Gamble.
Hello. I'm very excited to be here. It's an honour.
How you doing, man?
I'm very well. I'm very well. Looking forward to spending the next hour or so talking about films with you and other.
We got plenty to talk about. We got
We do.
plenty to say. So what we can do is we've got our nice running order up. We may as well dive right in. What I'll preface this with is saying today is primarily we're going to look at news because we haven't got much else planned. But I think eventually we will peek into the realm of reviewing stuff and the like. But as of now, I think it's been quite a busy week for better and worse.
It has.
So we may as well. There's no easy way to get onto the first topic, but I think everyone has seen the news about Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah.
Completely out of the left field. I don't think anyone
expected it. Even people very close to him.
I remember I saw some stuff basically saying he had, following the Black Panther and Avengers stuff, there were photos of him having dropped weight, and people were speculating it was for a role.
Yeah.
And obviously not the case, but it's just I remember I woke up in the night and checked my phone, and it's the kind of thing you see and it doesn't actually sound right. It takes a while to actually compute that news, and it's just really, really shocking.
I think at the moment, with everything that's happening in America and around the world, I think he was such a figurehead for so many people, and he was someone that everyone looked up to. And it was such a shock, I think, and really awful news.
He was absolutely huge, and I think I did a post on the website the other day.
It was touching.
I felt obliged to speak on it. I don't know why, but I think the thing that stood out to me about the whole thing is how bold his decision to not tell anybody was.
Absolutely.
The way he could go and visit children in hospital who were suffering the same thing as him and keep up with the image of being a superhero is phenomenal.
I think you hear the term real life superhero banded around, but I think he really was, and he was an inspiration to so many people.
Absolutely. Go on.
And I think if you look at his role as Black Panther, he brought so much grace to the role. And he felt like a king, and he acted like a king, but he wasn't, but in a very humble way that was always very admirable, and it was perfect casting, really. And Ryan Coogler talked about it in his article on the Marvel website, and he was a very special person.
Yeah, of course. And I think in terms of his career trajectory, it was a short-lived one in terms of what he did. But I still think of the roles he's had since, 2014 is when he was announced as Black Panther. I think that's what put him on the map.
Yeah.
For most people. But obviously he'd had roles before. He'd been in Get On Up, which is actually on TV this week.
It is.
I haven't got the details. But I think that was what got him the Black Panther role. But even since then, he's done so much. I always, at the moment, I'm finding myself going back to Da 5 Bloods. I just think now that performance and that character, where, for those who haven't seen it, it's the new Spike Lee film. It's on Netflix, and it's probably my favourite film this year. He plays Stormin' Norman, who's the leader of this group of Black Vietnam soldiers, and his purpose of the film is to be this leader that is timeless in his legacy and looked up to by everyone else. And I think it's really powerful how that's now come to fruition in the worst possible circumstances, but that role will now take on a completely new dimension forever.
Yeah, I still need to see it.
And you do have to wonder, he obviously knew, and it's heartbreaking to think, but he's picked his roles so well. He's carved such a legacy. He's been in 3 of the biggest films of all time, in Avengers, Infinity War, Endgame, Black Panther.
Absolutely.
He's really changed the game on multiple levels. But what was your favourite role of his?
I'd have to say Black Panther, to be honest. He was very, very special in that film. And it was such a brilliant cast that for him to stand out as the sort of best performer is quite something. And I think he did, personally. I thought he was brilliant. And gone far too early.
I think that, as you say about the cast, the chemistry in that film is fantastic. The way they kind of play T'Challa as straight-laced by the books, but the way he then plays off Killmonger, obviously, Michael B. Jordan, Letitia Wright as Shuri, I think there's such an electric vibe between all the cast. And obviously now isn't the time for people to look and think, what are Marvel going to do?
No.
But we've as an industry, we've lost a real good one.
I think it's also important to note that he's played several important black historical figures in the likes of Jackie Robinson, Thurgood Marshall, James Brown, and I think the fact that he got these roles and portrayed them with such panache is very powerful, and he really is. He really is a black icon, not just for Black Panther, because of the roles he did, and especially the role, like you mentioned, in Da 5 Bloods, as a sort of a leader that everyone looks up to. I think his roles sort of always seem to gravitate towards those kind of roles, and always with aplomb.
He was a trailblazer to the fullest extent, definitely. And just in terms of looking to what else he had, because there are 2 projects left for his body of work.
Yeah.
We've got Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, which is a Netflix release. There was initially meant to be like a press junket. I think it was last Saturday it was meant to happen. Obviously that's been cancelled. There's no news currently on whether the film will be delayed or whether it will stick to its late 2019, 2020 even release date. But in that film, he stars alongside Viola Davis, who plays a musician herself in 1920 Chicago. And it's kind of one of those films where it's all set around one day, one event, playing out in real time, in which she is a musician late to the recording studio, and Chadwick Boseman will play Levy, who's a rival musician and also a love rival to Viola Davis's character, who's plotting against her. And then I think there's going to be this interplay between the labels, fellow musicians, and I think something like that, again, doing a film in a completely different time period is just going to add to the timelessness of his body of work. And then the other thing we have, and this I saw yesterday, it's been confirmed that he finished his role for this. It's called What If on Disney Plus, and it's another Marvel original. This is kind of a cartoon anthology wherein every episode is a different scenario that's happened in the Marvel films that played out in a completely different way. So we know there hasn't been much information. It's due next year, but we do know Chadwick Boseman's role was T'Challa was going to be playing Star-Lord in that kind of alternate universe. So it will be quite interesting to see how that plays out, to see what they do with it. But I think it's quite fitting in a way that his final role will be Black Panther, because that was really what changed the game in so many ways for so many people. And
in Ryan Coogler's article, his tribute to Chadwick, he wrote that Chadwick was often talking about how special of a film he knew Black Panther would be. Something Ryan Coogler, as a director, couldn't really see until right at the end, once it had all come together. But Chadwick, he said it was their Star Wars, their Lord of the Rings, and he was absolutely right. And it was, I remember like videos of the black community going to see Black Panther and what it meant to so many people. And not only that, but Chadwick, I remember, bought out an entire theatre in his hometown of Anderson, South Carolina, so that no children could. All the children in the town could see it and were able to see it, and it was the film was able to have an impact on their lives. And I've also seen that there was a petition to remove a Confederate statue in Anderson and replace it with a statue of Chadwick Boseman, which I think is a fantastic idea and fitting tribute.
Yeah, I think absolutely that would be. I saw that as well. I think that's absolutely needs to happen because he was more than just an actor.
Oh.
He was opening doors in so many ways, and his work really, really has impacted millions of people.
Absolutely.
And it's truly heartbreaking. But I was thinking, is just the shock of it. It's
unbearable. I woke
unbearable.
up and it was breaking news on the BBC app, and I was just completely knocked me for six. As I'm sure it knocked everyone for six, because it's just so out of left field.
But the one thing that's sure is his legacy is going to endure long into the future with the work he's done.
Absolutely.
That's a hard topic to start with, but there's a lot more to talk about, hopefully a bit more upbeat news. So the first thing we've got down is the DC FanDome. Did you watch any of it?
Yes.
Did you watch any? I
watched a few of the trailers. I saw, obviously, the Batman trailer, which was hugely exciting. I saw the Wonder Woman trailer. And then I saw both the game trailers that came out for Gotham Knights and the Suicide Squad game. And the Suicide Squad film as well, James Gunn's adaptation, which wasn't really a proper trailer, more of a behind-the-scenes look.
Sizzle reel we got.
But that definitely got me very much intrigued for that film.
Well, straight off the bat, I just think as a alternative to traditional Comic Cons or studio reveals, I thought it started in the UK about 6:30 with the Wonder Woman panel, and it finished at 2 a.m. with the end of the Batman. And I think I probably watched from about 8 p.m. onwards. I only turned it off as bad, but there were panels of former actors or like some of the comic-based stuff or TV-based stuff I didn't tune in for, but all of the film stuff I was there.
That's okay.
I just think as a model, I think it was brilliant. It was really executed well. There was always something on. It was huge on social media. It was #1 trend when I was there. The one gripe I had, as someone who was primarily there to watch the Batman trailer,
of course.
So the panel starts at 1:30 in the morning, at which point I'm already pretty tired, considering I'd been writing and updating our article on it from probably about 8 p.m. So I've been going for quite a while at this point. I was ready for the trailer, and we get about a minute into the trailer. I've got a lot of emotions going on, and the stream stops working for a few seconds. You get audio. No, sorry, you get video, but you don't get audio for a couple of seconds, which was frustrating as an understatement.
Bet you were furious.
I was livid, having spent all that time. Sat through. I like Matt Reeves, but a lot of what he was talking about he did an interview with Aisha Tyler about the film, and it was interesting, but it was a lot of studio waffle where you don't really want to say too much.
Yeah, of course.
But let's get into the details. We may as well talk about Batman first. I think that's what everyone was there for.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I was blown away.
Absolutely. It delivered. I'm not mad on Batman, but this trailer really got me very intrigued. It was very exciting. Robert Pattinson was looking very hot, I'd say, and also very brooding. He brings something to that role.
He really does.
I loved it. It's a very good trailer. Paul Dano's Riddler seems to be absolutely fascinating.
I'm curious about that.
Really cool what they're trying to go for with him. The prosthetics on Colin Farrell's face were impressive.
Absolutely. I can't be the only one who didn't realise for a few days that was him.
Well, I saw it and I thought it looked like it looked like the Penguin. I thought, that's not Colin Farrell though. And then I saw on Twitter that it was Colin Farrell. So that's very exciting. Jeffrey Wright as Jim Gordon, I think, is brilliant casting. That should be fantastic. But the whole atmosphere of the trailer was brilliant. The use of the Nirvana song.
I love that. That was the first thing I picked up.
Really
and I thought
cool.
that really
good. And, sold the mood of the film for me.
I just find it fascinating that trailer, you get so much from it about what the film wants to do, but it's comprises of, I think Matt Reeves said they filmed 25 to 30% of it until Hollywood was shut down.
Yeah, well, that is impressive.
So if that's 25 to 30%, imagine what else is on its way, is what I find really exciting. But I also think it's trying to do Batman differently.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of interpretations, some good, some not as good. But it's nice to see a Batman. It's not an origin story, and I don't think anyone needs another one of those. No. But it's also not the Ben Affleck grizzled veteran of Batman. I think picking up Batman from a place where he's not perfect and he's still finding his feet is really interesting. Yeah. There's that scene in the trailer that everyone's gone on about where Batman's punching the goon on the floor and he just doesn't stop. And that shot for me is perfect. Yeah. And it says everything about the mindset we're going to get in this film. Yeah. Because the thing with Batman is it can be quite hard to make an interesting... A lot of Batman stories are great because of the villain or the supporting role. Giving Batman in this film a different layer of texture is going to do a lot to refresh kind of what we expect from the role.
Yeah, I really like it seems to be, kind of a detective angle on Batman, which is something that at least I haven't seen, on film before. Christopher Nolan's trilogy was far more, crime, but not in the detective sense, in a sort of stopping organised crime. And I think the Riddler, he seems like a serial killer in this, which I'm not massively tuned into the comics, but has he ever been a serial killer? Is he that kind of criminal? I'm not sure.
I don't know. The only other Riddler we've had on screen was Tommy Lee Jones in Batman Forever, which was awful, absolutely terrible. So it's an interesting. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm a big fan of Paul Dano, and I think he'll be brilliant in the role.
I think he's going to smash it. I think Matt Reeves must have seen Prisoners, because his role in that seems like it can tap into a lot of what they're trying to go for with the Riddler here. I think the Riddler's never really been the kind of villain they've tried to make scary. There's the Arkham games, which we'll touch on, obviously, but even then it's more of
he's a silly character.
Yeah, it's wacky.
He's a joke, yeah.
But I think this is such an interesting direction.
Yeah.
And there are hints of... Have you played the Telltale Batman games?
I can't say I have, no. Have you?
I started them, never finished. But there are... I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to give it away because it's not made obvious in the trailer, but there's hints at some of the plot elements they're going for in that are cropping up here. And right. I as I say, I wouldn't want to say it because it's probably what the film's kind of emotional crux is going to be. But I think where they're taking it is something we haven't seen before.
Absolutely.
And October 2021 feels a long, long way away. Yeah. But then also they mentioned they're doing a Gotham PD spin-off TV series.
Which does sound very interesting. Terrence Winter. It does.
And that takes place a year before the Batman. And it's safe to assume we probably won't see much of Robert Pattinson in it.
No, is Jeffrey Wright in that?
I'm not sure, but it wouldn't shock. He's in Westworld, is he not?
Yes.
So he's cropped up on TV before. It wouldn't shock me if he was on there.
No.
But I think as of yet, we haven't heard anything about casting. But I think that's going to be quite an interesting look into the universe. Because a lot of people's questions have been, what continuity is this in? And Matt Reeves kind of said it himself. It's completely separate to everything else, which I'd say is for the best.
Yeah.
I wouldn't really want to see him teaming up with Superman. I wouldn't really want to see Joaquin Phoenix Joker. showing
Would you
up.
not?
I don't think so. I think the world they created in that film is different, especially how they show Thomas and Martha Wayne and even Alfred. I don't think continuity-wise it would work in this universe. I don't know whether a Joker would work in this universe with how they're going about it.
But on the guy that Robert Pattinson beats up, isn't he sort of wearing a clown mask?
There is some sort of face paint there.
Yeah, which was interesting.
It is. It's hard to discern from that what it's going to be. Whether they go down the route of bringing in... Because Matt Reeves himself has said there's going to be a lot of villains cropping up. It's more of an origin story for the villains, and you do get a vibe of that. You see Catwoman in there. We know Riddler's in the film. We know Penguin's in the film. So whether there could be more cropping up wouldn't be a shock. There was a lot of talk, because there was one scene, I don't know if you probably won't remember the shot off the top of your head, where Batman's fighting along a staircase. It's kind of the camera's panning down upon him, and there's a goon he punches, and you can only see for a few frames, but some people are thinking that's a member of the Court of Owls, who will be talking about a bit more when we come to Gotham Knights. Some people think it is, some people think it's just lighting. So that's the annoying thing. You've
been on the Reddit surfing? I've
been on the Reddit. I've been everywhere trying to find out. And to be fair, I think there was a Reddit post I saw which was kind of a frame-by-frame splicing of it, and I think it probably is just the light, just the way the shot's done. But even so, I think this, whether they take this down the franchise route is yet to be seen. Whether they'll... I mean, it's Batman, it's the DC cash cow, so this probably isn't the last we'll see of Robert Pattinson, who looks incredible in that suit. I wasn't sold on the suit when I first saw it. Because did you see the first... It was in probably January or February. Did you see Matt Reeves tweeted a bit of behind the scenes?
The suit.
Wasn't crazy about that.
Picture of the suit. I thought it looked cool. But yeah, it looks good on Robert Pattinson.
It looks brilliant.
I think anything looks good on him. He's a great guy.
He's fantastic. As I've said it many times, I'm such a big fan of him. I think a lot of people weren't sold when he was cast, but all you need to do is watch his past few films and you'll know he's got it all in his locker, really.
I think he's had a very fascinating career trajectory.
Absolutely.
Starting with Harry Potter and then immediately going into, Twilight, which was a big franchise role.
Huge.
And sort of made him a huge, huge name. But then after that, you could tell that wasn't really what he wanted to do. And
no.
Sort of started doing all these sort of independent films. Really, you could see that they were sort of hand-picked. He did what he wanted to, Imagine he got a lot of money from Twilight, so...
Oh, yeah. He's probably not struggling for cash.
Money's no issue.
Absolutely.
Because he's done so many great films. The Lost City of Z, or Z, I don't know. Have you seen that?
I haven't, actually. It was on Amazon Prime. I don't think it is
Charlie
anymore.
Hunnam looking for the Golden City, or City of Gold.
I think that was the film Matt Reeves cited as the deal breaker when casting Robert Pattinson in this role.
Well, yeah, in that film, he's not really... He's sort of a quiet character, bit of a, what's the word? Introverted character, and it was unlike at the time. It was unlike anything I'd seen Robert Pattinson do. Completely so far removed from Cedric Diggory character, who was the big name in Hufflepuff.
The only big name in Hufflepuff.
I couldn't name another character in Hufflepuff. But yeah, and now I think it's now interesting that he's sort of now again doing a big budget movie with one of the most famous characters in fiction.
Yeah, well, that's what I find interesting. What the fact he's after 5-6 years of
rebuilding his profile as an indie actor.
Now choosing this.
Yeah,
there must be passion behind this.
Yeah,
and it's. I just want to see more.
Yeah, it's very exciting. It's very exciting.
Okay, let's look at another trailer. What else have you seen?
I've seen Wonder Woman. I watched that one this morning.
I watched that. I didn't actually watch that one at the time, but I've watched it now. What do you think of it?
Well, I can't say I've seen the original Wonder Woman, to be totally honest with you.
Yeah, I have.
What is it? It's meant to be quite good, isn't it?
It's fine.
Oh,
it's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. It's just it's a little bland, and also it's the World War One setting works for what they're trying to do with the character, but it just doesn't feel like there's much life in it in the film. Gal Gadot's good, Chris Pine's good, but it just felt a bit like filler, really. It's not the kind of thing I've ever gone back to, but I have to say, this one, I saw this trailer. I like the trailer. It's the first trailer that I've seen. I like the trailer.
You like the trailer? You like the trailer?
I liked this trailer. I thought there's a lot of character to it and personality that I think the first one kind of lacked.
Oh, really?
I think it seems upbeat. It seems fun. I think that cast as well. I'm looking at it now. Gal Gadot, Chris Pine, Kristen Wiig, Pedro Pascal particularly. I am very excited to see what he does.
I'm excited to see Kristen Wiig as the villain. I think that's very interesting casting.
Yeah.
She's playing a character called Barbara.
This film was meant to be out in June.
Oh, really?
And I
imagine it's finished.
Yeah, it must be now. But had this come out in June, I don't even know if I would have gone and seen it in the cinema. But this trailer...
You're absolutely gagging for a trip.
I'll be there opening day for Wonder Woman 1984. I think... Yeah. I like what they're doing now. They went down the MCU route of trying to set up their origins and then do a big team up. That flopped, I think it's safe to say.
I haven't seen any of them.
Any?
I've seen Man of Steel.
You're not missing much, I'll be honest.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
But I feel like they're now actually giving the filmmakers a chance to express themselves. I think Patty Jenkins did well with Wonder Woman, but you never really got much artistic voice from it, whereas I think this time around it seems a lot different. And that comes out in October, which actually is a month away now. So that doesn't seem too far off.
Of course.
Then the only other trailer worth discussing is the Suicide... Well, I say trailer. It was more of a behind-the-scenes run-around, but it looks a lot of fun.
It does. Well, James Gunn brought a lot of fun to Guardians of the Galaxy. I really like those films. The first one more than the second one.
Yeah, I was not crazy about the second one.
I really enjoyed those films. The humour that he brought was something special.
It was.
And the chemistry between all the actors as well was fantastic.
There's a lot of vibrancy.
And I imagine that all of these aspects will be, expanded with the Suicide Squad with a much bigger cast.
Definitely.
Main characters, at least. Imagine lots of witty camaraderie.
Oh, the back and forth is going to be on a different level.
The back and forth. Don't get me started on the back and forth.
It's going to be crazy.
But I do have a question for you.
Go on.
As the local DC... Nerd, yeah.
Thanks.
Is it in the same continuity as the first Suicide Squad film? What? Margot Robbie's in it?
Margot Robbie's in it. Joel Kinnaman's in it. Viola Davis is in it.
Yes. Will Smith is not, correct?
Will Smith is not. His character's gone. Jai Courtney's also back as Captain Boomerang.
Oh, he's back? He
is, luckily. If any Captain Boomerang fans out there were worried. It's hard to say.
That was a joke.
Because obviously, David Ayer's Suicide Squad was... I wouldn't call it a hit.
Garbage?
It's hard to... I've again, never gone back to it. It plays like a music video. It's so here, there and everywhere. Funnily enough, I was on holiday when it came out, so I couldn't see it in cinemas. So instead I read the novel before watching it.
Good book? Good read?
Oh, it was a great read. It really was.
Would you class it as literature?
I'd class it as art, personally. Really great read. Never got back to that book either.
But that didn't translate to the screen?
No, I don't know what happened. It really got lost in translation. But then this year's Birds of Prey Harley Quinn film, I really
That's
liked.
not its full name.
No, it's not. Let me get the full name up because I simply don't. I could not reel that off. I think, actually, I'm going to take a shot. I'm going to take a shot before I go. Birds of Prey and the fantastical emancipation of one Harley Quinn.
That could be correct.
Fantabulous. Fantabulous. One word. But I really like that film. And
I haven't seen it. Again.
It's great. Margot Robbie was heavily involved in that. She was a producer.
Yeah.
And it was a really great cast. All the big female characters in the DC universe were in there. I thought it was a really good time and a million times better than Suicide Squad was. So I imagine it's the same universe. Maybe I don't know. It's anyone's guess at this point.
Yeah.
Because if they've got 2 Jokers and 2 Batmen going on at the moment, what's to say they can't do 2 Suicide Squads?
If it's the same universe, we're stuck with Jared Leto.
What do you mean stuck? It's iconic. Do you not like the face tattoos? They're brilliant.
He's cool. I like his music.
Have you seen the trailer for Morbius?
No. Maybe I have. What's that?
His Spider-Man spin-off. He plays the vampire villain. That was meant to be coming out this year. That's been COVIDed to 2021. There was one big twist at the end of that trailer that is pretty much the only reason I'm excited for it. And I will say what the twist is, but if you want to go and watch the trailer, I recommend people go now.
I'm reading about it. It's in the Venom universe, is it?
It's in the Venom universe, but
there's so many universes nowadays.
No such thing as too many universes. The big
I disagree.
I'm with you on that. The big twist at the end of that trailer is Michael Keaton's Vulture from Spider-Man Homecoming emerges. So it's about as loosely as possible. It's in the MCU.
Wow.
I know. And that's pretty much the only reason I'd shell out a tenner to watch it. But we've got really off topic from the Suicide Squad. Well, just his character was great in that film.
You've got to let the conversation flow.
His character was great in Homecoming. That was one of my favourite MCU films. And I think if they're making I don't know if there's tiers of continuity like there is with like Star Wars. But if there's a tier 2, a B-team MCU continuity, I'm going to have to watch Morbius.
Right. You wouldn't watch it for Matt Smith? Great actor?
No.
You don't like him?
I wouldn't say I'm an anti-Matt Smith member of public, but I was a big David Tennant guy.
Yeah, we were all big David Tennant guys. I think
that goes without saying.
No one would be hard pressed to say.
I genuinely cried when I watched Matt Smith's first episode. I cried.
Yeah.
And that was the end of my doctor. Yeah, it wasn't David Tennant, so I didn't watch it.
But did you not watch Christopher Eccleston?
I think I did retrospectively.
Well, I'd already got over that one. I like that Christopher Eccleston.
I did as well. He's coming back for some audiobooks. Which I won't listen to.
He's great in The Leftovers. Sorry, we are really getting excited.
The Leftovers, again, is something I need to watch, which actually, in funny ways, wraps us back up to DC, because we could talk about Damon Lindelof and Watchmen.
Again, I have the full compendium of all the Watchmen comic books.
Have you read them?
No. Oh. I got it from my university library, and I haven't read it once.
When you say full compendium,
I mean,
there's obviously the original.
It's huge.
They did before Watchmen individual spin-offs for each character. I never read them. I've read the original comic, but I've never read anything else. But I like the comic, and funnily enough, as we record on the 1st of September, Zack Snyder's Watchmen has come onto Netflix today.
Oh, well, maybe I'll just watch that instead of reading the comics, because the comics are fat. They're really fat.
You'll probably have a much better time. Zack Snyder is notoriously one of the greatest filmmakers of our time, so he can really... Zack Snyder.
Can't say I've heard of it.
Mr. Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that film really changed the game.
I've heard that. Just cracking open my second...
Aha. You're getting relaxed now.
Conversation lubrication. That's what I call it.
I like that. I mean, we could... Did you watch the Zack Snyder Justice League trailer?
No. What? Explain to me why everyone wants to see that.
So, in nice terms, the 2017 Justice League film is a complete shit show. It's really bad. Zack Snyder left the project during the editing and reshooting period.
Yeah, I remember that.
Due to the
tragedy.
Yeah. The suicide of his daughter, which is horrendous, obviously. He left the role. Joss Whedon was brought in. Obviously, he did the first 2 Avengers films. And it just felt a very clunky. I rewatched it in April, I think, because that's when they announced the Snyder Cut was coming to HBO Max. So I gave it a watch, and it's not good. It feels like 2 filmmakers wrestling over what they want the vision to be. It feels like a lot is left out. Characters disappear. Characters don't get the arcs. Characters don't feel the same as they have before. And you wouldn't be able to talk about Justice League without mentioning Henry Cavill's CGI moustache, which is one of the most horrendous things I've ever seen. Really bad. But
looks a bit like the CGI beaver in Narnia.
Which Narnia? That's the real question.
One of them.
I quite like the first Narnia. I think that's the only one I... Oh no, I saw the second one.
I got Prince Caspian on DVD, I think.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Lion the Witch and the Wardrobe was good.
Lion the Witch and the Wardrobe was good.
But Zack Snyder's Justice League, so that's what they're terming it.
I'm
Zack
reading about it
Snyder's
now.
Justice
It says 4-part miniseries. That's quite exciting.
It is. I'm quietly curious. I think in the article
I wrote... You think it'll be a vast improvement?
No, I think you polish a turd and you just get a shiny turd.
Yeah.
I think the inherent problems will probably still be there, and if they aren't, and it's a completely different film, then it's a bit of a negative outlook on Warner Brothers and how they have handled the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then
sort
also
of lose-lose.
Yeah, I think it looks interesting. There's a lot of stuff in here that we haven't seen before. I don't know if Zack Snyder's got a habit for bloated and overlong work. And I think 4 hours might be a tad too much. But it's an interesting... Yeah, it's a mini-series. They confirmed at the panel that it's coming out on HBO Max, but other regions that won't have HBO Max, such as the UK, will still be able to watch. I'm curious. That's what I'd like to know. Hopefully it just comes on Sky, because I don't want to pay for it, but I will if I must. But I think
maybe you'll get it for free.
Maybe.
FilmBlog UK.
Maybe I'll send some email to Warner Brothers. Listen to our podcast. We're really nice about the fandom. No, but
we did shower it with praise, to be fair.
We did. They should hear we were going crazy for the Batman.
We were.
No, but I think it will be an interesting. It marks quite an interesting place where filmmakers get another chance. More than this isn't just a director's cut. This is a new format. It's double the length. It's got a 20 million budget just to update it from what was done before.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's quite a big.
Because Quentin Tarantino's talked about doing several of his films. He's talked about a lot of things.
Star Trek being one.
He's talked about, changing or adapting Django Unchained into a 4-hour miniseries.
To be fair, I would watch that.
Obviously, we'd all watch it, and I think it's a very interesting idea. So I'm intrigued. I might watch it.
I'm curious.
I don't care about superheroes on the whole.
Yeah.
Apart from Robert Pattinson's Batman. And Taika Waititi's Thor.
Thor: Love and
Chris
Thunder.
Hemsworth's Thor. Yeah, I'm excited. Well, as I'll talk about it more in depth later, but I'm a big fan of Natalie Portman.
Oh, I like what you're doing there. Right, should we quickly touch on the games? Because they were quite interesting.
Games.
Gotham Knights. Are you a Gotham Knight?
Yeah. I could be.
I can't see myself being a Gotham Knight.
Really?
It's interesting.
I wouldn't get it, if
I
you
wouldn't. I wouldn't pay £50 for it. But for context, it's the new game from WB Montreal, who made the Batman Arkham spin-off, Batman Arkham Origins, which I actually...
With Troy Baker.
I actually didn't mind that game. I thought it kind of it was fun, but it was not on the same level as Rocksteady's Arkham games. It's safe to say.
No,
but it was fun, and
which I have played all of them, so I can talk about them.
Oh, they are phenomenal.
Yeah, they're really good.
They are great, and when there's been rumours buzzing for years that WB Montreal are working on a new DC game. I don't think anyone expected
Is it the game you wanted?
I'm not. I mean, it's an interesting concept. There was the trailer, as you see at the end, shows the Court of Owls as being the big evil villains, and they've not been in much big non-comic media, but they're this secret cult group working beneath the sewers of Gotham, running everything, an Illuminati type organisation.
Oh wow!
And there's been rumours of a Court of Owls game for years, and I think everyone was thinking it will be a Batman Arkham prequel-y type thing. So a lot of people I've seen weren't best pleased at this, but I think it's quite an interesting route where Batman's not here in this continuity, and
he's dead. He's
kicked the bucket, and you've got 4 protagonists as Robin, Nightwing, Red Hood, and Batgirl.
The dream team.
It's interesting. I will probably get it eventually, but
well, you need some friends to play it.
Yeah, it seems like the kind of thing that wouldn't be as fascinating played solo. A bit like that new Avengers game that comes out in 3 days' time.
Oh, really?
I've not heard amazing things about that. I haven't played anything. There was a beta, but I didn't download it. But this game looks interesting. The gameplay looks fun. I wonder whether it's...
Yeah, the gameplay does look good.
It does. The open world looks a little similar to Arkham Knight, is all I'd say.
Might be the same one.
It wouldn't shock me if they had a lot of the same artifacts and stuff in there.
Yeah.
It's interesting, but when you compare it to the other game they announced, it's nowhere near as interesting.
Very nice segue there.
Let's talk about the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, because this looks like a hell of a lot of fun.
It does. Looks bright and colourful, as opposed to the blacks and the greys of Arkham. Well, the Arkham trilogy.
Yeah, and now the interesting thing is this is set in the same continuity. People weren't sure, but it is.
Yeah. Which
is interesting.
I saw that.
I have a few questions.
I have done my research.
You have. You've. Were you at the FanDome? Because it sounds like you were.
No, I'm not a nerd.
Come on, man. I had two screens running for the FanDome.
I only do that for Champions League.
It's in the Arkham continuity, which is interesting because I can't really pinpoint when in the continuity. I don't want to get into spoilers for a 5-year-old game in Arkham Knight, just in case. But I've got a few question marks. But it's nice to see this version of Harley Quinn back. I feel like I could have a stab at when it's set.
You could?
I'd say between Arkham City and Arkham Knight, for reasons I'm going to avoid purely due to spoilers.
That's very, very sensible.
I'd say no.
We don't want to scare off our listeners with spoilers of 5-year-old games.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, Arkham City came out in 2011, so we're cranking a decade on that. I'm keeping it safe, but it looks a lot of fun. This game, I think it's the Rocksteady formula revolutionised in a lot of ways. It seems.
Yeah, it looks funny, looks colourful, looks very interesting. Some gameplay would have been nice, but
Yeah, I mean,
you can't ask for too much.
It's 2022. It's a long way away, that game. I didn't realise. I think I watched that trailer and thought, okay, we'll see this next year.
Well, they've been making it for a long time.
Yeah, they finished Arkham Knight 2015. So it would have been 7 years post Arkham Knight that we're finally getting Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. And there were murmurs from Rocksteady. One, there would be a Superman game.
It's not the Superman game we all anticipated.
It's not, but I think it actually might be a more interesting, innovative way of bringing Superman in.
And he's the villain.
Yeah.
Presumably. And he's not. He doesn't seem himself.
No.
Well, that's what I got from the trailer.
I've got a lot of theories, right? I'm pretty sure it's Brainiac. That there's that big dropship that comes in at the start of the trailer. I'm pretty sure that's Brainiac, who's effectively mind controlled the Justice League. I'm just interested in how, and the basic premise is Amanda Waller's cast you, the Suicide Squad of Harley Quinn, King Shark, Deadshot, and Captain Boomerang. You're tasked with killing the Justice League. I would put money now on saying you don't kill the Justice League. I think you'll free them from Brainiac's clutches, and then they'll be your mates.
Join forces, maybe.
I think it's a strong bet that final mission will be out.
The Suicide Squad is obviously a large. Well, they're a squad. There's more than one of them.
Mm.
So, who do you think will be playable? Do you think it'll be more than one character?
I think it's all four.
The four we've seen.
The four we've seen, and so Harley, King Shark, Deadshot, Captain Boomerang.
The shark guy looks cool. He
does. They're all. It's all quite a varied gameplay from each character.
Yeah.
Deadshot particularly looks quite interesting because Sefton Hill, who's the director of the game, was saying gunplay is in for the first time. There has been gunplay in Arkham before, briefly. In Arkham Knight, one of the pre-order bonuses was a Red Hood DLC. About a 10-minute mission.
I was going to say Batman doesn't use guns. I know that. Well,
he does in Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice.
What? I haven't seen it.
Yeah, you might be doing yourself a favour. You should watch the 3-hour director's cut. It'll probably give you a hint of what to expect.
Did you buy that? Blu-ray?
I have 2 copies of it. I have a digital copy, and then 2 weeks later, when the Blu-ray came out, I bought the Blu-ray.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty dedicated. I am.
Spend a lot of money on DC?
Having a glance at my shelves, there's a lot of DC here. Although I haven't bought any of the recent ones. I bought Aquaman, haven't watched it yet. I've had that for about a year and a half. But I hear that's quite good. Yeah,
that Aquaman gets bashed, I believe. I've seen a lot of Big Bang Theory, so...
It's a great show, man. You're spending your time wisely.
Aquaman seems cool, you know?
I quite liked Aquaman and Justice
League.
Live.
Sea?
I don't know if I would.
What, live in the sea?
Yeah, your skin would prune up. It's the last thing you want, really.
Well, I doubt his does.
I imagine he's probably adapted to it over the years. But they're making there was a tiny Aquaman 2, it's an Aquaman-ish panel. I didn't watch it. Just with Jason Momoa, James Wan, who I think is on to do the sequel.
It's set to release on December 16th, 2022. I know that off the top of my head.
Well, that's going to be a great Christmas in 2 years' time. That is going to make my Christmas. It used to be Star Wars for Christmas, now it's Aquaman.
Oh, Star Wars.
I'm jumping the gun a bit there, potentially. Yeah. Right, that's the FanDome. What are you most looking forward to?
What? From the FanDome?
From the FanDome. Out of everything from the FanDome, what's number one?
Number one, call me basic.
Go on.
The Batman. I'm fascinated. Pats, he's a close personal friend of mine.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought so.
And it looks fascinating. Paul Dano, Riddler, everything I've talked about earlier. I've got to say, the Batman, but then I am also really looking forward to the Suicide Squad game. It should be good.
I am.
And Kristen Wiig as a villain called Barbara.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
That should be good. Maybe.
I toss around a lot the phrase, I've never been more excited for a film. But I genuinely don't think I've ever been more excited for a film than this. I really don't.
Really?
I don't know. Everything about it is lining up so beautifully. And it's going to be a long wait. A long 13, 14 months. However, do you know what isn't a long wait? Until the reopening of cinemas, because they're already back open.
That was very nicely done.
Yeah, I thought I'd come up with something there.
It was smooth, seamless, effortless.
We're on episode 1 and we're already pulling out that sort of power. Now, the only things really big in the cinemas that aren't kind of re-screenings of old stuff is Tenet, which has been everywhere.
Have you seen it?
No. Have you?
No. Do you want to see it?
I do want to see it. I'm curious.
Tonight?
Tuesday. I'll get back to you, man. We can sort something out. I'm curious about that. I've heard mixed things. I think
mostly positive.
It seems
really?
Christopher. I think Christopher Nolan. I don't want to say his shtick because I don't think he has a shtick, but his style might be wearing a little thin for some people from what I've seen. But I'm curious to watch it. I think the cast looks good.
If you just give me another excuse to talk about Robert Pattinson.
I thought I'd say, man.
He looks great. Apparently has a very posh accent, which, of course, he does have a posh accent. He's from Eton. I
hear it's Bond on acid.
That's what Nick de Semillon from Empire said.
Oh, that's probably where I got it from then.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not open everywhere yet. I don't know about America. I don't think it's open there.
It's not out yet.
But it has opened elsewhere, and I've got the stats.
How's it doing in the box office?
Well, it was projected a 40 million Wednesday to Sunday.
Right.
Which is obviously hard to look at anything because there's no context to how well a film should do during a pandemic. But it ended up doing 53 million. So it beat its expectations. I think not many directors other than Christopher Nolan have the sort of pull power to do that. For context, Dunkirk, his most recent film before this, did 50 million US opening weekend. So it's done roughly worldwide what his previous film did in America. And I think that's decent.
That's good.
Considering everything going on, I think they've done very well to get that much. If it will make back its budget, hard to say. Simply because it's a $200 million film. You need to double that if you're going to include marketing. But it probably will have legs, and also it's got the US opening still to come.
Yeah.
Go on.
What do you think? Do you think elsewhere in the world it'll do better than it should do in America, just because of America is, slightly worse off than other places?
Probably. I think it'll probably see quite a surge on home video.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Do you think it'll be out far longer than films usually would be?
Well, I think they're either going to keep it on for 6 months like they used to back in the 80s, or they'll have it around for a month and then stick it on streaming somewhere.
Yeah.
It's going to be one of the two.
I hope they keep it up for 6 months.
So would I. I feel like it's the kind of thing if it's on, you could go and watch it again.
Regardless of, how good it is, it's 100% a film you need to see in cinema.
Oh yeah, I've heard that everywhere.
So I think putting it on stream would be foolish.
I agree. I think if they went down the route of maybe it's in the cinemas, but if you want to spend a tenner on it on Amazon, you can. I get that. I personally probably wouldn't. I'm with you on that.
I'd rather spend a tenner on it
in the cinema. Yeah.
Well, not at Odeon. Odeon would probably be like 30 quid.
Do you know what I wouldn't spend a tenner on?
Rip-off. What's that?
The New Mutants. And I could say for a fact not many people have. Because the box office stats are in for that as well, and it's rough.
Am I correct in saying $9.9 million worldwide on a $67 million budget?
You would be absolutely correct in saying that. And this really feels like the final nail in the coffin for the X-Men. This film has had one of the weirdest release schedules of anything I've ever seen.
I'm not going to lie, I didn't realise it was out.
No, I don't think there'd been much fanfare. I think Disney contractually had to get it out as part of the Fox deal. So they've just slapped it out there and thought, okay, that's our job done. But it's been a rough one. It's currently sitting on 31 on Rotten Tomatoes, which obviously isn't the be-all and end-all of the film's quality. But even from the trailers, I was never enthused to watch it. It's not the kind of thing I'd go and watch, despite being a fan of the X-Men. I've seen all of them. I've got most of them. It's not the kind of thing that appeals to me. It's interesting in it's a superhero horror sort of thing, but it just seems a bit too little too late. It was meant to come out in April 2018, first of all.
Yes.
2.5 years, pretty much, which is a bit bonkers. Then it was delayed. It went under loads of reshoots. That was the same point where
yeah, I do remember
X-Men Dark Phoenix also got smacked to 2019. Also really bad. Then it was delayed to February 2019. Then it was delayed again. And that was delayed to August 2019, which was to get it out the way of Deadpool 2, which came out... Oh, no, that wasn't. Ignore me. That was to get it out the way of X-Men Dark Phoenix. It was delayed from April 2018 to move from Deadpool 2, which came out at that point, and is more of a cash cow than the New Mutants, so probably the right decision. But it's finally come out. I've heard bad things. It sounds...
I feel like I saw a trailer a long time ago, but I haven't seen anything since. I think Tenet, there's been adverts for it.
It's been everywhere.
It's been marketing. I can't say they've done the same for the New Mutants. No. I haven't seen anything about it.
A lot of talk was that it would go straight to Disney Plus.
I thought it might have done that.
I think I think the only reason it hasn't is it's not. I don't think it's PG-13, and Disney are so funny about what they have on that service. I will check what its certificate is.
Really?
Yeah, it's. I don't know. Let me check. But I also think part of the deal when they bought Fox was that they had to theatrically release a lot of their finished products, because that deal was finalised a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years, and I think Disney probably just wanted to get this out ASAP. Yeah, it's a 15 here, so it's probably the PG-13R boundary in America.
So it's not done quite as well as Deadpool.
I think this is pretty safe to say it's not done quite as well as Deadpool.
No, okay.
But that really, this is the last one of Fox's X-Men, and I think it's kind of gone out in the way everyone expected it.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What do you think Disney will do with X-Men?
Well, last year when they had that big Phase 4 event, it wasn't mentioned, it was hinted at. I don't think there'll be an X-Men, not solo because they're a group, but I don't think there'll be a standalone X-Men film. I think they'll crop up somewhere first. Right. I'm interested to see how they go, whether it will be a origin.
And Wolverine. Who would you give that to? Who has to step into those big shoes?
That is a huge, huge role.
Yeah.
There's been shouts of Tom Hardy for a long time, and I think he'd be quite decent in the role. But it's one of those where how do you step aside from Hugh Jackman, who literally made the role his own, and made not only his own career, but made Wolverine a household name as a character? How do you do that?
He is Wolverine.
He is Wolverine. And I think the way they ended it with Logan was such a poignant ending for that character.
It's beautiful. I watched it on a plane.
Did you?
Yeah. I cried, I think.
I saw it opening day and I cried. I never actually rewatched it though. I bought it the day it came out on Blu-ray, but I never went back. I don't know why.
Haven't watched it with the director commentary?
No, there's also a black and white cut, which is probably pretty cool.
Probably.
I still think that should have been the end of Fox's X-Men. That was... Yeah. Because since
You're
then...
definitely right. It was beautiful.
It was great. It didn't feel like a superhero film. It felt like a Western.
Very much influenced by The Last of Us, I think.
Oh, do you think? What makes you say that?
It's not clear to see.
Well, it's Western.
A
road movie.
A grizzled man with a, emotional disconnect.
Yeah.
He's, his emotions are reawakened by a young girl he's forced with taking care of.
I see where you're coming from. No zombies in Logan.
Unfortunately. There's no zombies in The Last of Us, actually. They're infected.
Oh, I really do apologise. But since Logan, they did Deadpool 2. Have you seen that?
I haven't.
It's all right.
With Ricky Baker.
Who's Ricky Baker?
From Hunt for the Wilder People?
Oh, yes! The kid from Hunt for the Wilder People. Zazie Beetz is in there as well.
Oh, she's great.
She's brilliant in that. That was all right. Then they did Dark Phoenix. Have you seen that?
No.
Don't. Really bad. And then here we are, New Mutants. the final nail in the long-awaited coffin of Fox's X-Men, which is a shame because growing up they were the big ones.
Ever said long-awaited coffin?
No, it doesn't make sense what I said, but you know what I mean. It's been a long
course.
time coming, but it's a shame because that was kind of the big superhero franchise of our childhoods. It was for mine anyway.
I had X-Men. I had the first two. I think I had all three on DVD.
Same. I had the quadrilogy. I thought they were brilliant.
Yeah. The fourth one.
The fourth one, less brilliant.
What's that?
X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Yeah, that was shit.
Really bad. But I think a lot of credit has to go to Fox for the first big superhero franchise. I don't know how the MCU would have panned out. Blade's great. I love Blade. That first Blade is... I rewatched it last year. It's so much fun. Really good film. And I cannot wait to see what they do with Blade in the MCU. That is going to be crazy. That's a year-old news, but it's still so exciting. I
was excited by that.
Well, do you know what else we can be excited for?
What's that?
The Dune trailer, which we can't talk about because it's not out yet.
Yeah, that was on the on the agenda.
That was on the running order. I was optimistic that it'd be out because there is a teaser going around in cinemas with Tenet.
Well, if we should have gone to see it.
Yeah, we should have.
Showing. Was showing at 1 today.
That was 42 minutes ago.
Yeah, you are right.
Yeah. But we could talk about Dune next week. There have been a few pictures.
Wait. I didn't realise Zendaya was in it.
Yeah,
that's exciting.
Zendaya, Timothy.
She's got a very different career trajectory to Bella Thorne.
Yeah. Bella Thorne's obviously been in the news a lot.
Should we talk about that?
Well, we could touch on it if you like. It's not quite as linked to everything else, but...
It's fine, I'm joking. I make jokes.
Bella Thorne, actually, there is a segue I can pull out the bag quickly. She was in a film called The Babysitter on Netflix.
Right.
Which I haven't seen, but it's like a horror comedy. And guess what comes out this month?
That film?
The sequel. The Babysitter 2.
Killer Queen.
Killer Queen.
Yes.
I'm actually going to watch The Babysitter prior to that because I'm curious. And also, I've not really seen Bella Thorne in anything, so it seems an interesting
not even
to go
Shake It Up?
What's Shake It Up? Is that Disney?
Well, yeah, that's what she was in with Zendaya. That's why.
Oh, were they in it together?
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
You must have been well confused.
I knew they were both in Disney, but I didn't realise they were co-stars.
Oh, yeah, they were co-stars.
That's crazy.
Shake it up, shake it up.
Were you a Disney kid?
I was, but I didn't watch Shake It Up. I actually hated it. I thought it was terrible.
I was a Nickelodeon kid.
My sister watched it, so I sort of
had it on.
It.
That's how I feel about Phineas and Ferb. My brother had it on.
I watched that.
I like Phineas and Ferb. That new film that's come on.
Have you seen it?
Not yet. We could watch it and talk about it next week because I genuinely really want to watch that.
We could.
It looks a lot of fun. And it's on Disney Plus as well.
It is. Have you got that?
I've got it. There's something else that's going to Disney Plus.
What's that?
That would be Mulan.
Oh.
Yes, but it's not just coming to Disney Plus because you pay your subscription. I don't know why you think you're entitled to watch a film then, because that's not good enough for Disney. Because Mulan is a premium release. And you know what that means? That means you pay £20 extra for a service you already have.
Oh.
Are you going to pay £20, well, $19.99 to watch Mulan this Friday?
No. That's more than it is to either go to the cinema or get it on Blu-ray. So I don't really know how they've come up with that fee.
It's called Premier Access. From September the 4th, subscribers pay a flat $19.99 fee to access the film on the app. And unlike the rentals, they're straight from the cinema ones they're doing, this won't expire. You've got it as long as you want it. However, there was a leaked screenshot that December the 4th, it becomes free to all subscribers. So it really begs the question, what's worth more to you, £20 or waiting 2 months to see Mulan? I know what mine is.
3 months.
September. Yep, no, 3 months, okay. 90 days. It's going to be a hard wait, but I think I'll manage.
Yeah.
Do you think this is a sustainable way of releasing stuff not in the cinemas?
Absolutely not.
No.
I think it's ridiculous. Is it 1999 just for this film?
Yeah.
Oh, that's outrageous.
I think it's quite interesting that Disney have done this with Mulan, which wasn't exactly their most hyped film compared to Black Widow.
Right.
Because I think if they did it with Black Widow, there'd be a lot more uptake because it's Marvel. But I just don't see this. I get what the other studios have done. They did it with, I think it's Paramount or Universal even, with Trolls World Tour and the Scoob remake, the Scooby-Doo film, where you pay £16, you get it for 30 days. I get that a little bit more, just because it's the amount of money you'd pay to go to the cinema with your mates, with your family. It kind of works out. But I think that's a bit different to charging on top of a service you already pay for. And when I signed up to Disney...
Especially when it's so much.
Yeah. When I signed up to Disney Plus...
And can you only get Premier Access if you have Disney Plus?
Yeah, you have to pay... I think it's £6 a month anyway for Disney Plus on top of it.
Well, I can promise you I will not be paying £20 to see Mulan.
Yeah, when I got Disney Plus, I thought, weirdly enough, I'd get exclusive stuff and not having to pay extra.
Yeah.
But that's not the case. The only other big film on Disney that they was due for cinemas that they then whacked on Disney Plus was Artemis Fowl. Terrible. Really horrendous.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, I watched it a few days after it came out. Not a good film. Bloated. I used to quite like the books as a kid. And it doesn't have all of the whimsical fun of the books.
Look how they massacred my boy.
Indeed.
Yeah.
That was a real shame. But I can't see Mulan being the hit. I don't think they're expecting it to be. I think they're trying their luck. And if it goes well, who knows, we might see it again. But when it doesn't go well, as I'm sure it won't, I think that'll be the end of that.
Yeah, I don't think this will last.
No.
It won't.
And I do get why it happened before, but now cinemas are slowly phasing back open. It's a little... It's weird. It's weird.
Yeah. So is it not going in cinemas at all?
I don't believe so. Oh, actually, no. Ignore me. I think it is, but not in America yet, as far as I know.
Because I do remember watching the trailer, and it's interested me more than any of the other sort of live-action remakes, which I don't know why they're doing.
Have you seen the original Mulan?
No.
No, me neither. I don't think I've seen any of the live-action remakes.
It looks cool.
It does look interesting. Apparently they're working on a sequel already, which is optimistic.
Yeah.
Yeah, from what I'm reading, it's... Yeah, they've cancelled the wide theatrical release in the United States. So I think it is still coming out in cinemas elsewhere.
Right.
But because the US is far behind us, they'll instead just whack it on Disney Plus and make you pay $26 for it.
Yeah.
They will not be getting any more of my money. I gave them £50 in March for a year of Disney Plus. That's all they're getting out of me.
Yeah. Well, what do you think of all these live-action remakes?
I don't think I've seen any of them, actually.
Only one I've seen, I think, is Jungle Book, which was good. It was good.
I
did
hear
like that
they
one.
do quite a lot in terms of trailblazing CGI. I do want to watch the Lion King one.
I've heard that the animals all look dead.
Yeah, it's quite hard to make an animal like a live action looking at emote like a cartoon. And also, it seems it's probably quite hard to differentiate between who's who, especially with like lions. But it's Disney. They still made $1 billion. I'm sure they don't mind.
Yeah, yeah. Sure. Whatever his face is. Who's the head of Bob Iger? Bob Iger.
He is for now. He's stepping down this year.
Oh yeah, of course.
Sad times.
I didn't know that. I swear.
It's not going to be the same without Bob.
It never is.
No, but I don't think...
Unsustainable is my answer to your question.
Unsustainable. I think they're...
I'm foolish.
They're chancing their luck. They know they've got 200 mil already spent on this film. They need to try and make something back.
Yeah. Who's going to...
There must be people out there.
But that's what I always wonder about Netflix is, they make all this money
Yeah.
and then they reinvest it in, original content.
Yeah.
But then they never really get to see.
I think a lot of it just goes under the radar.
Yeah.
Because of how much Netflix.
I doubt there's many people that get Netflix to watch something.
I don't know. What do you mean, as in people who don't stay subscribed and they'll subscribe for a month if there's something they want to watch and then unsubscribe?
Do you think people do that?
Probably not with Netflix, just because of how much they have. But I think Disney Plus definitely seems like that sort of service that makes a bit more sense if you did that. Because with Netflix, there's always something. Even if it's not something you anticipate, there's stuff that will come along out of nowhere and will be huge, like Tiger King. That wasn't hyped, and then it was everywhere.
Yeah.
But also, I think they release enough high-profile content that it's worth sticking around.
Yeah.
Whereas I think my major gripe with Disney Plus at the moment is there isn't enough original stuff. They did well with The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian's great. And Star Wars, The Clone Wars Season 7, I loved as well. That was brilliant.
Best season, do you think?
Well, I've only seen that season and half of Season 1, so I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
It's a nice show that you can dip in and out of. And if you know Star Wars, you can pretty much place where it's happening.
Do you know Star Wars? Well?
I'd say I know Star Wars better than ever right now.
Very, very, very good. And another question.
Go on.
What do you think about the cinema releases of these original streaming films, like The Irishman, Uncut Gems?
I think it makes sense. I would have seen The Irishman was playing near me, but I didn't go. I think because
I had planned to go see Uncut Gems.
Yeah.
Literally a week after it had come out in cinemas, and it was no longer in cinemas. It was in cinemas for 1 week.
Oh. I guess they want to make it exclusive, don't they?
Which seems foolish.
But one thing I quite like they're doing with the most recent big, critically praised Netflix films is releasing physical copies. Like Criterion are releasing Marriage Story and The Irishman.
Oh, really?
And I think I like both those films enough that if I wanted to drop 20 quid on a nice collector's edition, I would.
You dropped 20 quid on a collector's edition?
Well, I dropped 30 on RoboCop last week.
Where'd you get that money from?
My parents paid for it. Yeah. Not making enough on the old website.
Yeah, when do I start getting paid?
Well, we actually made a penny. No, not a penny. We made a cent on the 29th, so...
From ads?
Yeah, from ads. So keep checking your bank account. You'll be having a big splash.
I can't wait.
So I think we should have a chat about something we've seen in the past 7 days that we want other people to go and watch. And I'll get mine out of the way first. So
yeah, go for it.
This film's been on my radar for a while. I wanted to see it in cinemas, just didn't get around to it. It's called Blue Story.
Yes.
Now this is the
I have heard of it.
First feature film from Rap Man, who's been quite big on kind of the underground YouTube film circuit in the UK for a while. He's done stuff like Shiro's Story, which kind of picks up on working class black communities and telling the stories that we very often don't see in the media. The only other thing I can compare this film to is Top Boy, and that's not just because they both star Michael Ward, who in this film plays a guy called Marco, who lives on one side of London, and he's got a mate called Timmy, who lives in a different postcode. And it's kind of a romanceless Romeo and Juliet in there, these two people from rival gang areas who are friends, and it's navigating their relationship, how it changes. And I thought it was a really fascinating film. It's different to Top Boy in it's a bit more focused on events rather than characters. And one thing that's a little bit frustrating about it, I'd say, is there's kind of these, I don't want to allude to Shakespeare, but Rap Man comes in at points and raps to the camera as kind of interludes to pick up where the plot's going. to cover big spans of time, which was quite an interesting concept. But a lot of it, sometimes it feels a bit rushed and a bit oddly paced. It kind of, you gloss over the big, kind of, a lot of key moments will happen in a sentence and you don't really get to the bottom of them, which is a shame, but it's an hour and a half. I think if they wanted to stretch it, they could have probably fleshed it out and it would have benefited from it. But I just thought it was nice to see stories you don't often see. And I thought it was really, the performances from the two leads as Timmy and Marco are brilliant. They're really good, both in their first roles starring on the big screen. Michael Ward's been in Top Boy previously, but I believe this was filmed before, but I might be wrong. And I think you see so much.
Michael Ward won the BAFTA Rising Star.
Yeah, he did, and I voted for him. He absolutely deserved it. I think he's fantastic.
I think I voted for someone else.
You need to watch Top Boy. It's terrific. But
yeah, I'm trying to remember who I voted for.
It was on my radar for a while. It came onto Sky, that's why I watched it. So if anyone's listening and wants to watch it.
I voted for Caitlin Dever.
Oh, she's great, to be fair.
Yeah, she's good.
I probably would have voted her second. But no, I thought it's an important story that needs to be told. And it's touching on, you see a lot of American kind of crime gang films, but you don't see that much of this vein coming out of England and the UK. And if there's more stuff like this in the future, bring it on, because I really, really enjoy this film.
Well, I'll watch it.
You should.
On your fantastic recommendation.
Oh, sure. So what's your recommendation?
Well, I had the pleasure of watching all three prequel Star Wars films.
Oh, my lord.
Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith.
Wow.
Yesterday, in one day.
Wow.
Not quite one sitting. There were a few interludes.
There were.
And I would just recommend it to anyone that's listening. All three of them.
Yeah.
Would you agree? All three of them are fantastic?
I love Star Wars.
Yeah.
And I will watch anything Star Wars. There isn't anything that could come out that I wouldn't watch. However, if you look at those as three films, you do have to wonder, why do two of them exist? You really do. Now, don't get me wrong. I love intergalactic trade disputes and taxation as much as any other Star Wars fan. But it doesn't feel like it was the story we needed to know.
I disagree.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Enlighten me.
To get a full scope of the size, the breadth even, of, Emperor Palpatine's plan, you need to see all three films.
You need to see the Gungans.
And you need to understand that this man started as a senator.
He did.
And he made his name in taxation disputes.
He really did. It was quite a remarkable rise from him. Impressive.
It's also important to see Jar Jar Binks.
Oh, it is.
His rise from, Gungan exile to representative.
In many ways, I see that as the main arc of the trilogy.
That is the main arc of the. Is it not?
I think it should be. If there's people out there that disagree, I'd love to know why.
Yeah, send in your questions.
Because that Gungan changed the game.
He did.
He really did. What's your favourite of the three?
I think many people would agree. I think Revenge of the Sith is the best of the three.
Absolutely.
They are all brilliant. Phantom Menace has some great moments.
It does have some great moments.
The battle at the end, the Battle of Naboo.
Great moments, yeah?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
When you watch Jar Jar Binks sort of scrambling around, just being really clumsy, but he's still actually helping the Gungan effort.
It's just in his DNA to be a hero. It's in his
DNA to be a hero. You literally stole words from out of my mouth.
I think I'm less sold on the Phantom Menace.
The twists in Phantom Menace?
Oh, the twists are crazy.
George Lucas, he shows one thing, and then he's like, hang on a minute, you're wrong. This is what's happening.
He doesn't want you to be able to sit and relax watching Star Wars. You've got to be on your toes the whole time.
Yeah. He doesn't think you're an idiot.
Oh, no. He treats his audience...
He treats you like an idiot.
He really does. But when I got home after this marathon, I wrote just a sentence on each one to summarise my thoughts.
Would you like to
share? So, The Phantom Menace, I gave this 1 star.
Out of 5?
Out of 5.
2?
Out of 5.
Or 1?
This film is anti-Star Wars, and I've never hated it more.
Right. I would disagree.
And I think that is harsh, but if you... Out of 2 hours and 20 minutes,
what about
I'd say...
the fantastic... At the end...
Yeah, I like the end.
4 things going on at once.
And only one of them's good.
You're wrong. Do you not care about Padme Amidala? Her... Whatever she was doing. I don't really know what she was doing. But I was enjoying it.
I love the fight at the end. The lightsaber battle. I think that's one of the best.
Qui-Gon Jinn, that was brilliant. Absolutely fantastic.
The only issue I have with that battle is there isn't much context or emotion behind it. You don't really know much about Darth Maul. You don't know why he's doing what he's doing. Obi-Wan's never met him before, but on a pure switch off your brain, watch the cool choreography. I do really like that fight, and I think the music is terrific as well.
It is. As well as that, you've got Anakin, little
Annie.
Yeah, he's doing his thing in the ship thing,
playing around.
And I was enthralled by that. I was enthralled by the Battle of Naboo.
Yeah.
And I was enthralled by Padme and her little squad moving around.
Knocking about.
Yeah.
Episode 2?
I think Phantom Menace I'd give 3 stars.
3 stars out of 5?
Yeah.
Okay. So 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
Okay. That is the common calculation there. Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. You want to know what I put?
Yeah.
Star and a half.
Oh, so slightly better.
Slightly better.
Not even with Padme's midriff?
That didn't have any impact.
Your decision.
What I would put for this is, it doesn't have any standout scenes like The Phantom Menace does, because that pod race and the Darth Maul battle are both brilliant moments. It doesn't have any of those moments. However, it is less consistently dreadful. It's forgettable and unnecessary trash.
Really?
That is the dullest, probably, I'd say. At least with The Phantom Menace, it's very easy to laugh at the film. It's not as easy to laugh at Attack of the Clones.
I think it's more serious.
I think it takes itself more seriously, but also doesn't really have anything interesting going on.
And you didn't like the fight between Yoda and Count Dooku?
I wasn't crazy about the fight between Yoda and Count Dooku.
Really?
It's fine, but again, it didn't really... They make Count Dooku up in the opening crawl to be this big ominous villain, then you don't see him till 2 hours into the film. And that, I don't know, I enjoy the Clone Wars setting. I love the show. But it just felt quite an unsatisfying development of the characters. We were talking about it yesterday. Anakin is creepy.
Yeah.
He's weird.
I would give Attack of the Clones 2 stars. I think it's worse than Phantom Menace.
Yeah, I think they're different levels of bad. I do see where you're coming from, though.
But I can't. For a moment, I was trying to remember what actually happened in Attack of the Clones, and I can't remember anything.
It's very forgettable. That's the thing. It's dull. At least with.
I think Phantom Menace wasn't dull.
Yeah, it wasn't dull. It was funny. Phantom Menace was laughable, but this was just dull. And then we have.
I would also say, we get the whole love story.
Yeah.
With Padme and Anakin is laughable.
It's garbage.
And I'm a huge fan of Natalie Portman. She's brilliant actress.
Mm.
But there was not a moment in that when I thought she genuinely had any feelings for Anakin.
Oh no, there's no chemistry. I think a lot of that. No offense to Hayden Christensen, but you weren't meant to play the robot yet, buddy. That comes later. He was a little stiff. His lines.
It would be 1 star, but I did enjoy seeing Natalie Portman's midriff.
That's the deal breaker for you?
Yeah.
I thought there's a lot of quotables from that film.
Yeah,
I hate
I
sand.
think they're all quotable.
They are all quotable. He hates sand.
Yeah. That's character development.
That is. We finally learned Anakin's stance on sand. And I the whole first film, I was wondering what it was. So it's a good job. It's a really good job we got that in the end. And then last of all, Revenge of the Sith.
Oh, brilliant.
I gave this 3 stars.
I gave it 4.
This one actually made the marathon worth it and was the only one of the trilogy with any interesting story to tell. Corny and cheesy, but lovable and charming. It's a lot of fun and doesn't take itself as seriously as the others, and is nowhere near as mind-numbingly dull.
It's quite a long sentence.
Yeah, I was really cranking it out at that point.
I'd give it 4. I think it does have the best plot. It has the biggest laughs.
Oh, it does.
It's very corny and cheesy.
No.
Ironic.
Not from a Jedi. Great. Oh, I love it. It's so much fun, that film. It's very
fun. Really good. Ewan McGregor is on top form.
Oh, he is.
That man is very special.
He's wonderful.
Love that film. Sorry, I said that like 4 times there. I got really passionate.
You're only human. That's the only one when I want to rewatch the prequels that I deem worth it. And I would implore you to go and watch season 7 of the Clone Wars, because a lot of what happens in that takes place at the same time as the Revenge of the Sith. So you see.
I don't think I will. That's a quote.
The wrong franchise there. This is. I told you beforehand I had a bit of a surprise.
You did.
I've got a little quiz just to test how much attention you were paying. Just to make sure you were really on the pulse when you were watching the prequels.
I can't say I was.
Okay, so question 1. What is the title given to Jar Jar by Boss Nass before the Battle of Naboo?
General.
Something general.
General Brigadier. Brigadier General.
Bombad General. Okay, this one is next.
Do I get half a mark?
I'll give you half for that. Are you keeping score?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, this next one is interesting. How many words does Darth Maul say in The Phantom Menace? Is it A, 31 words, B, 82 words, or C, 104 words?
I'm going to go with 31.
Correct. It's 31. He's got 2 lines of dialogue, which is pretty shocking. He's cool. He's really, really cool. Next one. This is another Phantom Menace one. When tested by Qui-Gon, what is Anakin's midichlorian count to the nearest 1,000?
Well, he says off the scale.
There is a figure.
20,000.
Correct.
Yes, I thought that was right.
And I've got in brackets here, Obi-Wan says he's never seen anything like it before.
Right.
Number 4, this is the penultimate one from The Phantom Menace because it's just got so many great moments.
Yeah.
What part of his body does Jar Jar get electrocuted on Anakin's pod racer?
His mouth.
Yeah, I'll give you his mouth.
His jaw.
It's his tongue, but I'll give you mouth. Because
he goes, his mouth.
My tongue. His tongue goes numb.
Yeah, but his tongue is part of his mouth.
Yeah.
His whole mouth goes numb.
I'll give you the point. So you're on 2.5 out of 8.
Thank you.
Number 5, who comes second in the pod race? It's a tough one.
I don't know, because the guy who was second, surely he doesn't finish. Sebulba, I'm going to go with.
Sebulba, that's correct.
Yes!
Okay, number 6. Now we're on to Attack of the Clones.
Wow.
I need this to be precise. Why does Anakin hate sand?
It's coarse.
Why else?
It gets everywhere.
Okay, you can have half a mark. Because it's coarse and rough and gets everywhere.
Oh.
Okay, number 7. What is the name of the planet where the Republic's clone army is made?
Genesis.
Oh, you're thinking Geonosis.
Oh,
that's where the droids
and
that's where that
Caramino.
Yes. Geonosis is that artful scene where C-3PO's head gets stuck on the droid.
A moment of elegant tomfoolery.
I'd call it poetry. I'd go that far. Really nice. And then the final question. This is a Revenge of the Sith question. On what planet do Anakin and Obi-Wan fight? What's it called?
Mustafar.
Correct. So you got 1,
I did really well.
You got 6 out of 8. I think that's a pretty impressive score.
I was watching.
Actually, it might have been 7 out of 8. I think it was 7 out of 8.
I don't think I got any of them wrong.
I think you got the first one wrong.
Yeah, and then 2 half marks.
Then 2 half. So yeah, you got 6. But that's a pretty impressive effort. You were. I can confirm you were paying attention.
Yeah. How could I not?
You're only human. You can't help but get engulfed in that world. Okay, so we've gone through our recommendations. The only other thing that would be quite fun is if we mention something on TV that anyone can watch anytime. So I've got one. This is on TCM, a channel apparently, at 9 p.m. on Wednesday. So the night this comes out, this will be on TV. Mad Max 2: The Road Warrior.
Yeah,
one of my favourite films. One of my favourites. I haven't actually rewatched it, but just the fact it came out in the 80s.
You gonna watch it?
I think I might tune in, actually. I'm not busy on Wednesday night, so I think I'll have to. It's the practical effects, the story, the atmosphere. I think it's timeless. Really good film.
Yeah, it is very good. I love, you know me. I love post-apocalyptic stuff.
You really do.
I do. And I'm going to recommend tonight at 11:15 on not Channel 4, on Film 4.
Oh, I know what this is. I had this written down as well.
It's at 11:15. We've got Chadwick Boseman starring as James Brown in Get On Up, which was talked about earlier. I imagine Film 4 has put that on as a tribute. Yeah. But it's that's my recommendation.
I'll be tuning into that. Have you seen it?
No. Oh. I'm assuming it's a great film.
I will be watching. Oh, definitely recording. Definitely recording. I might be occupied elsewhere, but that's on the radar.
And then I did. Have you got a number of things then?
No, they were the 2 I had.
Okay.
I was looking through the listings.
The listings, yeah.
There were other things I saw. Tomorrow Never Dies is on at some point this week. I probably won't watch that.
Yeah.
But no, they're my picks. Have you got anything coming out this week that you're looking forward to watching?
Coming out this week?
Yeah.
Is anything coming out this week?
Mulan.
No.
I'll tell you what, the new Charlie Kaufman film's coming out. I'm Thinking of Ending Things, it's called. That's on.
I do like Kaufman.
I like Anomalisa a lot.
Yes, I've seen that. I do like that. I also like being John Malkovich is also.
I haven't seen that. My personal choice is
very weird.
Season 2 of The Boys starts on Friday. I'm really excited for that. I really enjoyed the first season. I thought it was a great satire of superhero films and superhero genre, really. And it hasn't felt that long that it came out, but I can't wait for it to be back and see what they do. It's a breath of fresh air in a genre that is more than a little bit saturated. So it'll be very exciting to see where they go with it. And that's this Friday.
Yeah. Well, I can't think of anything else. I'm sure there's something.
Well, you going to watch the Tottenham documentary?
Yes. I am 100% going to watch that.
I've only seen one episode, but it was funny. I had a good laugh.
Apparently, it's sort of more entertaining than, what's the word?
Serious.
Insightful.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. But I'm going to be grinding that out this week, definitely.
Yeah, no, I will also be watching 100%.
Good. Well, we can talk about that next week.
We can. I can't wait for next week.
Me neither.
I've had a blast.
Same. It's been real fun. Let's hope there's a lot of news this week.
Yeah.
So we got plenty to talk about, but
hopefully more positive news.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure we'll definitely be mentioned in June. There's going to be tons, hopefully. Phineas and Ferb, I'm sure we'll discuss that.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Well, it's been a lot of fun. Thanks, Oli, for being here. It's been great.
No worries. Thanks for inviting me.
No worries, man. Thanks everyone for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Beautiful.